And now, Michigan Reimagined with Chris Buck.
So the Gillespie Group has been breathing new life throughout Michigan with unique and inspired redevelopment projects over the years. Here to discuss a few new concepts and some recent grand opening announcements is the president of the Gillespie Group, Pat Gillespie. Welcome to the show, Pat.
Thanks for letting me be here, Chris.
Absolutely. So let's start a little bit with those unfamiliar. Talk about the Gillespie Group. What's your mission and what do you specialize in?
Gillespie Group's been around 25 years. We're a team of 90 people based in Lansing, Michigan, and we love to make downtowns better. Right now we're really focusing on downtown Lansing, creating a district, but we've been in Midland, we've been in Jackson, we've been in Muskegon, Allendale, other areas, but right now we're really focused on Lansing and everything in the state of Michigan.
All right, and downtowns, which is great because things have ebbed and flowed, not just here in Michigan, but all around the country, right? The suburbs, and then people are returning back to the city. Is that the
we
general
used to,
phenomenon?
Our first 15 years in business, we were suburban sprawl. We were farm fields on the outskirts of town. Our last 10 years have really been focused on everything, brownfield, redevelopments, existing buildings turned back into life, or sites that were contaminated, cleaned up, and turned into something that's full of density and
right.
people and tax base.
Great. And that's fun too. I mean, that's an energy, right?
It's a lot more rewarding. It's a lot more difficult because it takes a level of expertise that there is no site the same. There's a different type of petroleum product or a different type of contamination or a different type of abatement or incentive you need to look for in order to help get them done. So it's more challenging, but at the end, it is a lot more rewarding to see something turned around in a downtown.
Right. And I'll never forget hearing our former mayor, Virg Pinero, talking about, the city of Lansing needs to be the hub of the wheel, not the hole in the donut. Right. And I think you think about, I hate to use the phrase, but the Rust Belt, Midwest cities where the city was failing, but you had some pretty robust suburbs, mm-hmm. right? And I think Lansing was that way for a little while, and and from what I hear, the residential development in particular is booming downtown. That people really do want to get downtown to live.
Yeah, especially downtown Lansing. 10 years ago, there were not a lot of folks looking to build or develop or to even live in the area. Now, every unit that we have downtown is full. Waiting list for probably 60 to 90 days to get in. There's other new developments that are coming, which is fantastic.
Yep.
And I think some of the other ones that we haven't done are doing quite well as well. So things are looking up. I think there's room for quite a bit more.
Right on. Well, good. Well, let's hope, and we'll do all we can to help you get to the finish line on that. So, you talk about districts. I mean, can you talk a little bit about the stadium district and not just the building, but everything that you've kind of done? You're talking about creating.
Yeah. So downtown Lansing has a baseball stadium, and about 15 years ago, we came up with an idea after touring Arena District and Warehouse District and Gaslight District and all these other states that we were looking at. We said, boy, it'd be cool if Lansing had an identifiable area, and let's play off the stadium. So we tagged the name and came up with the district. We created a building called the Stadium District, which kind of kicked it off. But since then, we've done about 6 or 7 other buildings in the area. Other businesses have taken on the connotation of, hey, we're American Fifth in the Stadium District.
Right. So
people now understand kind of where the lines are of the Stadium District. When you come in, you've entered somewhere different.
Yep.
It's kind of has a cool entertainment type of cachet where you've got breweries and distilleries and restaurants and housing and a grocery store and hotel. So it's got a lot of good energy to it. So it really seems to be drawing people down. We have some other folks looking to come down to the area because of its energy.
Yep.
And because I think the district name or the branding of it, I think has helped people understand that it's something different than just downtown.
Right on. Well, there were 2 announcements, I guess, or posts on social media and LSJ, or Lansing State Journal. It seems like coffee's on the menu.
Yes.
So I know the Clara's building has been, hotly discussed. It's an empty, kind of iconic building, and you made a recent announcement of a tenant that's going to go in at least for part of that. Can you share with us that story?
Yeah, so Clara's is a 113-year-old train station. It's been around a long time. It used to be passenger rail, and then it was just, logistics with materials and stuff. So it's seen a lot of energy. It was a restaurant at one point. They went out of business, and we looked around trying to figure out a way to bring it to life. We're going to bring it back to life, but we wanted to have a business in there that the community could come at morning, at night, and see the building. A lot of times you redo a train station and it's an office building that not many people can go into.
Right.
So we reached out to Starbucks. Starbucks is a big name. They're out of all the capital cities, there's only 7 capital cities in the United States that don't have a Starbucks within a mile of their capital. Anchorage, Alaska is one of them. Lansing, Michigan is one of them. A real Starbucks, not a kiosk in the front desk of a hotel.
Right. And those are usually proudly serving Starbucks. So it's not really a brand.
No,
it's they're selling the product.
Correct. You have a license just to sell it.
Exactly.
And so this is a real Starbucks, and they're going to do a community store there. Their architects came in out of Chicago and looked at the history of the building and what the bones of the building and said, we're going to do something really cool here. This is not our normal off the interchange strip mall type of Starbucks. This is going to be celebrated. We're going to celebrate Lansing, some of the history there. So I've seen some sneak peeks of what they're looking at. If it comes to fruition, the way they show it, it's going to be pretty dynamic. So I'm excited for half that building to be viewed by the people at almost any time they want to.
Right.
The other half of the building, we don't have a user yet, but we're talking to 3 or 4 really interesting groups, all of which I would love to have there because they would have similar open hours that would allow people to experience the building and to understand the history of the building once they go through it. So it should be open within a year, and hopefully both tenants open within a year.
That's wonderful. I mean, just breathing new energy into that. And then Starbucks, I'm a big fan. I lived in Seattle for a long time as they were really taking over the world. But, in my opinion, there's a place for the locally owned coffee shops. There's, obviously a big local, brand that's, based out of Lansing, and they've got their locations all over downtown. But I think Starbucks is an absence, a notable absence. And with all the residential that's coming in, honestly, it just doesn't seem like you can have too many coffee shops within walking distance of the thousands and thousands of people that you've really put down into that district.
Well, we're into local businesses. I mean, we're local, we support them. But when you say, how's the stadium district going to grow? How's Lansing going to be perceived? In the last year, we've brought a Marriott, we've brought a Meijer, and a Starbucks. Those are 3 pretty big names. They're not local.
Yep.
But they are names where people start looking. The corporate headquarters we're talking to now are saying, okay, maybe we should take notice. You're bringing in national names. They see something. They see the mojo going on in Lansing. What's wrong with us not being there? So that it really adds some credibility to the district, having those 3 big names in the last 12 months.
That's actually a fantastic perspective that I don't think a lot of people pause and think about. So good for you for getting that done. And to show that, there is that local vibe too. I was impressed and surprised kind of to see that building out in the Lansing Brewing Company's parking lot repainted, and Etta's coffee shop, right, is open or opening very soon. What's the story behind that? And I mean, I'm assuming you were a part of that?
Yes. We own the building and we're leasing it. There's this couple that are in a partnership, and they're out of Detroit area. They saw an opportunity in Lansing. They saw the growth in the stadium district, and they said, we want to be a part of it. It's their first business. Very energetic. They got a great business plan idea. Fresh brewed coffee, specialty coffees, which sounds like cliche-ish. Doesn't everyone do that? But they really are passionate about what they do. They're going to bring in fresh baked goods every day from a really dynamic bakery out of Royal Oak.
Okay.
Fresh pressed juices, sandwiches. You're going to see some unique stuff. And I think on that traffic pattern, people coming, once they do come back to work in Lansing,
right. Yep.
It's going to be a quick grab and go, which is really popular now.
Yep.
They will have some seats inside, but kind of a good location, highly visible outside the stadium. So I think they'll do very well and complement Starbucks, because Starbucks doesn't do the juices and doesn't do the fresh baked stuff. And I think it's just be more homey and organic.
And geographically, they're separated by a decent amount. So again, you're going to draw the crowd that wants either that brand or that convenience, right? So that's fantastic. So does that building have a drive up, or you got to park and go in and grab your stuff and go?
You have to park. It's basically in the parking lot of Lansing Brewing Company,
right?
Which we're not open in the morning, and their main hours are going to be from 6 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon. We usually take off about 1 in the afternoon at the brewing company, so it works out really good.
Right. We don't need more parking.
No.
Right on. Okay. And then obviously, kind of the crown jewel I really want to get to is you've put out a lot of kind of feelers and almost teasers about the Sears site, right? On the south side of Frandor, for those who don't know, you've got a Sears location that it went dark. Talk a little bit about the temporary user that you've had in there. I mean, most people in the Lansing region know exactly what that is, but then kind of what does the future hold and how are you kind of couching this opportunity?
So the building's built in 1954, 200,000 square foot Sears building with 1,000 parking spaces on the highway on Michigan Avenue across from Michigan State's campus. Very dynamic location, a very vanilla, boring looking building.
Yep.
It's tired. We talked to Sparrow Hospital early in the pandemic, and we talked to when China was building all these 1,000-bed hospitals for COVID. We actually called both hospitals, the state of Michigan, and said, hey, if you need a hospital, 1,000-bed hospital, we got one. We got 200,000 square foot. It's geographically perfectly located, and they said, all right, we'll keep that in mind. So as COVID went on, and they figured out that they needed testing and they needed vaccines, Sparrow got creative and said, boy, we love the drive-through lanes.
Right.
People don't got to get out of their cars. There's no interaction. Just put your arm out or your nose out and get tested or get the shot. And it's worked out really well. I can't remember how many people they've tested to date. It's in the hundreds of thousands.
Right. Yeah, no question. I mean, my office is right across the street, and driving in at 6 or 7 a.m. and then driving out at 5 p.m. or whatever. I mean, for different stretches of time, there was a line all the way around. You know, probably 500 cars in the queue.
Just driving by, when it's peaking.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. I don't need to watch the news. I just drive by and see how busy that is. And hopefully, knock on wood, that's wrapping up, or the volume of people that need to go through the services there is hopefully wrapping up, which gives you, and you've, I guess, probably always had the ability to move forward with a development project there. But if I remember correctly, it was months ago, you kind of sent out a note saying, what would the world like to see, at this, which is amazing fuel, but what would you guys as community residents on, so Facebook or any of the social media platforms like to see this year's turn into? And I sat there and rolled through the hundreds and hundreds of ideas, and clearly a lot are wacky and a lot are heartfelt. So where are you at in that process, or what are you hearing? I mean, I know you don't have a defined plan probably at this point, but can you tease us with a little bit of ideas as to where this might go? Yeah.
After getting all of that feedback, which was incredible, like you said, there was a lot of good information and a lot of people sharing what they want to see. We definitely knew what direction people wanted to go in, even if it wasn't the perfect direction. We know. Right. So seeing that there's been so much student housing built and so many hotels and other apartments built, we're looking at what will complement that.
Right.
Is it entertainment? Is it restaurants? Is it shopping? Yes. We reached out to a company called Street Sense out of Washington, D.C., which is a nationally known architect, design firm, consulting firm. They do the study of what you need, you don't need, what Lansing needs. And they're spot on. A lot of those folks that had the comments were pretty spot on. We need shopping. We need higher end shopping. We need, do we need 8 restaurants or 10? Do we need rooftops? Yes. Do we need, different entertainment venues in those restaurants? Do we need everyone says these different grocery stores we need. So,
right.
Do we need workout? Do we need more fitness? We're getting all kinds of opportunities. The calls are coming in pretty good right now. And we do have a plan that we're working on with Street Sense. It's more advanced than we've probably let on. Right now, it's getting into later stages, but I would guess if everything comes out the way it should, it's a 14-acre site on that corner of Main and Main that at some point will be the place to go. You no longer need to drive to Novi, Ann Arbor, Somerset, Grand Rapids to have the meal or to have an experience or to go to a mini concert. In these establishments, that's what our goal would be, is that's kind of the hub where you can park your car. There's going to be plenty of parking. You're not going in a deck. We heard a lot of people said we do not want decks.
Huh. Okay.
But they want an experience. They want open area that lets people socialize and have those experiences and flow from building to building.
Right.
We may reuse part of the building. We may have new buildings adjacent to it or above it. So we're looking at 3 or 4 options right now. We've got them narrowed down. It started with a lot more than that, but it's really getting exciting because some of the tenants that we've reached out to are names that Lansing has never seen.
That's fantastic. And, honestly, you may not know the story, and it's not about me, but I think me doing this show is my penance for being a complainer when I arrived here in 2008. And granted, things are a lot different now than they were back in 2008. And that was on the precipice of the abyss that was. And I came from Seattle and I'm from Philadelphia. So the whole metaphor you just used is like, where do I park and spend the day? And especially if you've got a family. I daydream about, being back at a place where you can literally park the car and let kids safely kind of scatter. It's like, you guys go hit the coffee shop, you go to see the comic book store, or go to this event. Mom and I are going to go out to have a meal. We'll meet back here at 2, and that's, in my opinion, back in the day, what this town is missing. Now, we've got a lot more of that than we did when I arrived. But I think that hub right there, just east of 127 on Michigan Avenue, north and south, that area, the general Frandor area, is the epicenter, city of Lansing, city of East Lansing, and the city that is Michigan State University, where it all meets. And I think that that's a prime location for you to do something really special. And all evidence, lends to the fact that you're going to do something special.
That's our plan. We hope to be able to implement it. So, but you're spot on.
So how can the residents engage with you or watch things unfold? Is social media a place to go, websites, or how do people kind of follow your actions?
So if they look us up, Gillespie-Group.com is our website, but we are on Twitter, we're on Facebook, Instagram. Please share any thoughts, any ideas, any hey, I wish we had this. We love hearing that because that's great feedback. So we can reach out to tenants and say, this is what the community wants. It really makes a difference.
No, that's wonderful. And you're very robust at it. So whoever's managing your social media is doing a great job. We've been talking with the president of the Gillespie Group, Pat Gillespie, about what's coming down at the Sears location down south of Frandor. Congratulations on all your successes in the past. We look forward to the future.
Thank you, Chris.